I come from a community though, a very communal community, and long time ago I learned the one drop rule. You got one drop of black in you. You're black. And although as bad as we treat each other and things like that, the world will remind people that they're black. Mm-hmm. Even for some of us who may not self-identify. And then I also come back to the certain situation of identity is a very important thing at this point. I think how people identify themselves is important. I identify as a black woman. I don't believe I have the right to say who is and who is not black. I try to be as inclusive as possible of people in general.
In this video, a panel made up of 3 black women explore the topic of exclusion and inclusion within the black community. We start our discussion by responding to this video.
But I can never get into a black space and feel comfortable because they never made me feel comfortable. So I was like, how do I feel like, why do I feel like a minority amongst minorities? And that sucked. I was like, I didn't understand why I had to be a certain type of black or a certain type of level of, I didn't know why it was a standard of being black. I thought I was just black.
How does it make you feel to hear to hear yourself? I think this must have been a few months ago we talked about this. It's been a while.
I think it was in January.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Looking at it now, it made me sad because me coming into my cultural identity, not even, it's very recent. And it just, the connectivity, listen to that and how I yearn for that connectivity, it just hurt my feelings to know that my own people didn't even want to hang with me. And it still hurts my feelings because I want to go back there and be like, yeah, hey, I'm a new person, this is me, but I didn't change for them, I changed for me. I don't want to go back there and be like, oh, I changed, now will you be my friend?
I think for me, again, I felt your pain too. I felt sad to hear how somebody could feel basically isolated in what should be a place of community. But it got me to thinking about several things. One, just how black people are not monolithic. To say how you were living in a different way than some of these other people are, but at the same time, like you said, they were judgy or they're bougie. How we still have the traces of the internalized racism, partially of how we treat each other, but how historically that has laid out for us, and it continues to come through even here, and just how do you change that?
Well, watching that, it made me sad. It made me think about the situation that I'm in currently at an institution, and when I start working there, and it's basically an all-female environment and all African American. So I come in, just me being me, and I'm immediately not liked. and just experiencing that, I'm like, well, first of all, you don't know me, and to just prejudge me, it's just flat out wrong. And when I speak to you, for you to just look at me, and I barely get a mumble. And then some people say, well, girl, you should just stop talking to her. That's not who I am. I was taught to be courteous to everyone. And even still, I speak to this certain someone, And she just looks at me like, why are you talking to me? You know, and I'm like, really? Are you for real? And I'm just, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say about some of us because sometimes, you know, sometimes I'm viewed as bushy, but I'm being nice, you know, and I'm being courteous, and because you view me as bougie, then you're not speaking to me. I don't understand that. I don't understand that mindset. I simply do not understand that mindset.
And keep in mind, when I said bougie, I just meant like stereotypically TV type. I was like, is this really real?
Yeah, and I completely understand where you're coming from. I completely get that because even like now, with the profession that my husband is in, we live in a basically all-white community. And it's not by choice. It's not by choice. It's because of this profession. We have to go where they send him. And that's where we land. And I find that some of us that look like us, when we move to those particular communities, we think that we have arrived. You know, and I don't understand that either. I don't understand that because there is that feeling of isolation because you don't belong with the bougie black folks, but you don't belong with the white folks either. So you're kind of caught in the middle, and then you don't belong with the other people who view you as bougie. Well, I'm regular folk, you know, and I'm just being me, and I'm just, you know, but you feel that constant sense of isolation. And let's not even talk about children. Kids that go to these all-white schools. That's a whole other dynamic.
When I brought up this topic too, I was talking to another friend here actually, Trish. She said, it's kind of like what you're saying. She talked about how in some spaces, first of all, she said, because we're talking about identity, and she said a very big part of identity is that she's a black woman. She cannot walk into a space and you don't notice that. You notice it immediately. But then she was also talking about how sometimes she goes into a space and people think, oh, you're being too black. And then she goes into another space and it's like, you're not black enough, you know? And she's like, how what do you do? Right, and who defines these things anyways, you know? So do you think, we've talked about how we feel about, you know, how sad it is, you know, to have these experiences. So obviously, are we saying that that's a problem? Are we like calling it a problem?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what are some ways that we think that should be handled or dealt with?
At least in my experience in these spaces, communication. I know communication isn't key without action or whatever, but most black people don't know how to communicate well. And they don't like talking about their feelings. They don't like talking about what they're thinking. Like, I don't want you to think about something and formulate a story and then tell me. I want you to tell me what you're thinking right then and there, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. And also got to consider, you know, a lot of us aren't given the opportunity to speak like that, with how we really feel, because for so long you have been, as we would say, wear the mask, where, you know, certain times you're not allowed to speak.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there are certain situations your parents be like, oh, you know, get out of
Stay in child's space,
stay in child's space. But even when you go out and you're into the majority and you're the minority, there are certain things that we're not, you know, you can't really tell what you really thinking to somebody. It's not gonna go over well. So it's the constant, and I think a lot of us are still struggling with, you know, when can I really say, or how can I really say, you know, and I think more people. Let me go back to that. I think more younger people are being more open with how they feel, but I think it's also because they're given a different space than a lot of us was given. You know, having the opportunity to talk is a big deal. And so when you grow up, you have the opportunity. So I think young people are doing it a little bit better than I would say people my age. But then it gets to the people my age, they got to the point they feel like, well, I'm at this age, I don't have to see it. So now they're starting to come around a little bit. But I think you're right. We really need to work on the communication.
Yeah, and I won't take myself out of that equation because, like, I mean, I could have stood up and said something and stood up for myself, but I didn't. Like you said, we stuck in the mindset, like, when is it okay for me to say what I want to say when I want to say it?
Actually, let's even address this. So the topic, I'm saying that the topic here is minority among minorities. I got that from you. And then the subtopic is experiences of inclusion and exclusion in the Black community. So first of all, let's talk about the Black community. What is the Black community? Who is included and who's not included in that?
Wow.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because those of us who think that we belong in the Black community, we're excluded from the Black community because, like one of the ladies was saying, you're not Black enough, or you're too Black, so you're like one of them. So it's kind of I don't know. I don't know. That's a question to ponder on because I really don't have the answer to that. I would love to say that we're all part of the Black community, but unfortunately there's racism within our own race, and people are excluded within our own race all the time, just based on the color of your skin, the shade of your skin, and also the texture of your hair, also your socioeconomic status. So if you are someone who is from the deep part of South Dallas or Oak Cliff and you are not educated, then you are considered to be some kind of way. And then if you are highly educated, you're perceived to be another type of way. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. Yeah.
It's funny that you brought that up when being from different parts of Dallas. Like, I'm from South Side of Chicago. Even on the South Side of Chicago, it's like Chicago is heavily segregated. First of all, people would be like, "Oh, it's such a great place," and people used to come there to be free. I was like, I don't see how and why.
Where were they coming from? Too.
Sure. But like even in my own neighborhood, it's like super segregated. I was like, we all Black and we all basically poor and go to the same public schools. And my friend was like, "Why you talk like that?" I was like, "Why I talk like what?" She was like, "You sound all uppity and stuff." I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "We got the same English classes." And she was like, "Where you from?" I was like, "I'm from the low end, but I live on 76. She was like, "Oh, that's why." She was like, "They say people who live in the 70s is like bougie. What they say, ghetto bougie." I was like, how? I was like, where did this scale come from? And so it's like I'm in a place where Black community is like super distorted because of where I'm from and how it's portrayed in my city and in my neighborhood and in my family. So it's like super fragmented. So I'm like, what really is Black? Because I mean, we have a community, but then like you got, I'm not gonna say other minorities moving into our community, and Black people are upset about this, and Black people are saying, "Oh, you should be supporting this person, Black person, instead of this person," but you're not contributing to it. You're speaking it, but you're not doing anything about it.
I think for me, I agree. It's become difficult. I come from a community, though, a very communal community, and long time ago, I learned the one drop rule. You got one drop of black in you.
Yeah.
You're black. And although as bad as we treat each other and things like that, the world will remind people that they're black.
Mm-hmm.
Even for some of us who may not self-identify. And then I also come back to the certain situation of identity is a very important thing at this point. I think how people identify themselves is important. I identify as a black woman. I don't believe I have the right to say who is and who is not black. I try to be as inclusive as possible of people in general, but I am always for black people. Anybody know? I mean, I'm for black people, even the ones who ain't always getting it right. And when I say not I'm not this because we also live in this cancel culture. That's the problem where people like you're too bougie. So somebody do something wrong, you're canceled. And I just don't know if we have the right to just declare who's in and who's out. That's just me though. So I'm about trying to see how we can make it as communal as possible, and how can we all win? How can we all support? But not only that, not only supporting ourselves, but again, I don't believe in oppression limits. I guess like they're we're that like this minority is. You know what I mean? Like I want everybody to see. That's just who I am as a woman. But I think the other part that you both have brought out that we don't address enough in our community is we have classism issues more than we have anything.
Yeah.
I mean, like we still have the light skin, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be because the brown paper bag test was a real thing. And I come from a high school where it was a real thing. But our class issues, we like you said, we have a lot of people who move and they feel like they've made it and they don't care about the people who don't, or they want to look down on people who are still struggling, or forgetting about. And I think that's that's the issue. That's the biggest issue dividing black people more than anything is class. Well, I'm saying I think it's one of the top issues that's dividing people.